I am not either Tirumala, I am not either Shashidhar and what I am is Harikiran. The reason why I picked up the mic and said I want to give an introduction about this topic is because this is something we have done very recently, and I take utmost proud moment because we did something for the state that we are living in now. How many of you have heard about Telangana MeeSeva? How many of you have used Telangana MeeSeva? I would say most of them. You have not used Telangana MeeSeva. Do you have a vehicle? Do you have a vehicle that is running in Telangana? Then you should be using MeeSeva because the RTA app runs on Telangana MeeSeva, right? How many of you have done payments on Telangana MeeSeva portal? Most of us, right? So, all right. I'll let you guys take a good hard look at this and see. This is a pun, I would say, but tell me how many of you guys have seen this joke or the meme before?
Recording starting.
So the crypto locker is a very popular spam tool, right? Or a spammer that Twitter instances, right? Somebody says, right, encrypting your files, we will go ahead and install thousands of Oracle databases inside your databases, and then you will not be able to see. So they'll come back and put a, because you have done a copyright infringement or software infringement, right? The reason for putting up this joke is this is exactly what happened with Telangana MeeSeva. Telangana MeeSeva, after the two states have bifurcated, right? The Andhra Pradesh and Telangana have bifurcated. Since then, the entire database transactions that were happening, the entire database that was created in the database platform was on Oracle, and this is how Oracle has made round about 20.6 crores of revenue just off of Telangana MeeSeva, right? So you understand, what does the 20 crores of revenue, right? To give you a tune of what is the exact comparison. Let me just go. And just to give you a little gist of what all we have done, what is exactly the tune of money that was involved, right, where Telangana Exchequer has paid to the state data center and the data centers where this entire Oracle databases were hosted. Right? Look at the 10 years ago, what was the cost of licensing that we had? So we had almost like $1 million. That is a huge amount when we are talking in 2013 and 2014. Right? Now that cost has increased and now it has been pushed back so much. Right? So when we went and spoke to some of the government agencies at MeeSeva, right, the first thing that we did was, what systems are you running on? They said very proudly, said that no, we are running on Oracle. I asked them why. I said, how the heck I would know that, right? And the next question is, why are you not running on Postgres, right? They did not even know the spelling of Postgres, but that commissioner now, that MeeSeva commissioner now, is bragging about Postgres on internet with this LinkedIn article saying Postgres is the database that every government agency should work on, should have their databases on, and so on and so forth. Right? That's the power of Postgres, right? Now you look at some Oracle systems, right? I've got some colleagues from CTS, and most of the time, right, whenever we interact with some of the business owners, the CPOs and the CIOs, they are worried about why should I migrate to Postgres? Right? Instead of saying how I should migrate to Postgres, they will ask me why should I now migrate to Postgres. I think this is what they are not aware of, right? I think there are some smart people that are in the CXO capacity, but this is exactly what I see, or I have been looking at, with my multiple conversations with some of the C-suite people. This Oracle discount coup that I would say, this is more of the trap that a lot of the individuals won't understand. Now, long story short, MeeSeva was paying somewhere around 10 crore on a yearly basis, and right now they are paying less than 46 lakhs. So 10 crores from 12 to 13 years to less than 50 lakhs. Right? That's the story that we are posting about today. And I welcome Sashi and Thiru to come on stage. Now, these are the two gentlemen who did the entire migration. So I was behind the scenes, arm twisting them and then arm wrestling with them as the chief architect of this project. But I will let them talk about what are all some of the shenanigans that Oracle threw at them. How did they survive them? And what are some of the technical nuances that we should be aware of whenever we are doing Oracle to Postgres migration. Thank you for doing this course.
Yeah, hi all. So, hi all. When it comes to this platform, it is a MeeSeva payments. So, what other dashboards, what are the platforms that payments happens? There are a lot of RTA related operations will happen, and this RTA operation is really biggest in Telangana revenue systems. So what it will do is like it will come to one database and it will generate few payment related receipts, and it stores all the payment information, and this has a lot of certificates, licenses, and if you look day-to-day operations, like every person needs a government related certifications and all. So even students, when it comes to their caste certificates or other things, they need to generate it. So for that, there's a lot of other operations going on. So these operations is like a high volume, like even we have around thousands of MeeSeva centers all over India, all over Telangana. Sorry. So these MeeSeva services, what happens? They need a huge bulk times when there is a evening times, when the huge people will come into the MeeSeva centers, and people is very eager to done their works in the MeeSeva center. So what happens? These transactions has to be done, and these transactions has to be do not loss, because it has a payment system. All the money and everything will be recorded in the databases. And this mission, why we call it mission critical availability? As I said, this money, all the information, all the payment systems will be available in the in this specific database. So what we did is, so when it comes to this migration, so these all these Oracle databases that are in different databases, these need to be migrated with the minimum downtime. So what is the minimum downtime? So in a regular day, the RTA has a transaction of like 10 crore worth of transactions will happen in this specific RTA itself only. Not all the services, only RTA itself only. So think about all the other services that it is going on. So it has like a 85 plus service, and we migrated 100% without zero data loss. And these migrations is like when it comes to validation and all these things, we use like a tool called Orato PG. He will, Thiru sir will talk about this. And We took like literally 12 hours of time. Like we started at the midnight of the the migration started, and it is finished like around 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and the RTA services started at the just after the 12 o'clock in the 12 p.m. So that's a achievement we did. That's a really hit us. And so what is the discussion that is going on behind before migrations and all? So they have like a database has it as you know, the Oracle has a different core pricings, and they have different databases. So all different databases has to talk with each other. So one database has users, one database has dashboard information, and one other database has payment information. So all this information has to be collected by this application and has to be right in the final transaction. So what we suggested is, our architecture is like they wanted a high availability. So we suggested like every database should have one primary and also one standby and one DR location also. So because of this suggestion, the core count is really high. It went like 233 vCPUs and 576 GB RAM. So what happened with this infrastructure, like the government is very difficult to procure all this information, all this hardware at a time. And also what happens, procurement will take time, so they don't have, because licensing and there's a deadlines for license and everything. So they wanted another architecture, so we suggested some other architecture that is a 3 clusters, which is only 2 nodes, which is primary and standby. In that architecture designs, architecture analysis, what we found out that they have like Oracle data link transactions are there. So what in Postgres, if we implemented in the different databases, we have to use FDW. And when it comes to FDW, everyone knows that in production, in the high transaction rate, FDW is a little bit slow. So we should not use that. So eventually come up with a 3 node cluster. So all 3 database we converted into 3 schemas and put it in a single database. And what we suggested like 3 nodes and 1 DR node. And 3 nodes will be like 1 primary node, 2 standbys. In that, the one caveat is like they wanted 0 data loss. In any case, any database down or anything in primary goes down or something goes down, they don't want any single data needs to be lost, because they have a payment information, and if something goes wrong, there's a huge crowd will come into the offices, and they have a lot of issues will happen. So what they wanted, 0 data loss. What we suggested, streaming, synchronous streaming replication. So in this last final architecture advice, we suggest like 82 vCPUs and 348 GB RAM and level TB or across the nodes. So in this we use Patroni, which is active and active passive. And we eventually eliminated the FDW, and this is the architecture that we used. So what they wanted, high availability with also any single point of failure. They don't want any single point of failure. So we suggested 2 HA proxies and 1 primary, 1 streaming replica and an asynchronous replica. And the DR node is for other location, which is in around Mahbub Nagar area or something. So what in this architecture is like HA proxies will be 1 active, another will be passive for any downtime of that connection failure or anything happen in the proxy side. So another will pick it up within 5 seconds of time. So that's the advantage here. And when it comes to database layer, we have a primary, 1 synchronous replica. So whenever the synchronous replica commits, then only primary replica will be committed. There is a caveat like some delay maybe, but it will not that effective. And they require that they are okay with having some delay, but they should not have any data loss zero data loss. So we suggested that. And there is another sync replica. And if any primary goes down, we configured in a way that only sync replica will be will become primary, not the asynchronous replica, because any wall delay or latency happens in the network layer. So we don't want that to happen. And we have etcd in this architecture and the patterning for failover and lead selection. As I said, there is a less than 30 seconds of RTO, zero RTO because of this sync replica suggestions, and less than 5 milliseconds for VIP failover. We use VIP in HA proxy layer, and we tested around 5 failover tests across the patterning, primary sync replica and primary and sync replica. If sync replica went down, what happens to the primary, and what about the DR, if the DR will take over that or not, and if the HA proxy one goes down, what is the how much time it will take. All these tests we have done, and we have battle tested this architecture and it worked fine with them. Now migration expert Thiru will talk about next slides.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you, Hari. Shashi is explained related to how, the existing database are there in the Oracle system. They are having the separate databases for the dashboard and CP customer portal as well as the payment gateway. Okay, so the storage is something 1.5 TB, that is database size, and so these are the total number of objects are there here. Okay, so before we are step into what is it, MeeSeva for the data migration approach, how they are followed and everything. So the existing system is having, I told you, right, it's a 3 database are there. It's a different source system, that is a Oracle side. It's a dashboard, payment gateway and the customer portal. And mainly they are having the something 1800 tables are there in that. And the data size is the 1.5 TB, the DB size for all the 3 databases here. So as Shashi said, we are moving that one into the one cluster in the Aurora PG and with the 3 schemas. Okay, so before, once we are step into scheme, okay. Okay, so before, when you are stepping into that MeeSeva office, the Upadhi team is started that migration approach, how they are following as per the audit. So they are going with, the production database, they are dumping into their Oracle dev environments, and here they used the one of the tool, that is a, what is it? Paid tool, yeah. That is one of the paid tool they use it, that is for the 1 week Navicat, sorry, forgot that one. The Navicat tool, and it's a payment tool only, that is, it's a paid tool only. So they are using for the 1 week for that one. Their intention is that by using that tool, they have to be convert that all the code conversion by using that tool. But they didn't follow any best practices which are using in the migration approach. That is, first they have to be, as part of the migration, first of all, any database migration expert, they have to be analyze the data in the source database. So what type of data they have in the source database, based on that one, we have to be come up with the proper data types in the target database again. So as part of that one, we validated the source database, source data. So based on that one, we are mapped the proper data types in the PostgreSQL. So here, instead of that Navicat tool, we recommended them to use the Vara2PG tool. By using this Vara2PG tool, we are converted the code into the tables. We are mapped the proper data types and converted the tables into, the storage objects like tables, indexes, and constraints, these are we are converted as by using the Oracle PZ. After converting these, we are validated the data based on the existing source database. So existing source data, they are I mean in the Oracle side, they are using, it's a numeric data is there, right? So here we are segregated that one into the, based on the data, we are segregated into small int, integer and the big int kind. So we are suggested these data types because of the, what is the data type. Suppose if you are they are using something, one of the field is there, it's a age field. So age field, the data type they are declared as a big int only in the PostgreSQL side, but that is not required here. So related to those things, we are audited that one. We are changing to big int to the small int.
Probably they were counting the age in seconds.
Pardon?
Probably they were counting the age in seconds.
Yeah, age in seconds. So okay, that's good. Okay. So these are the things were identified, and at the same time, here they didn't follow. I mean, one of the biggest challenges is that they didn't follow any process here. That means any, what is that, organization or any, what is that, environment, right? We have dev environment and QA and staging and production, right? These four are there. But in the MeeSeva, they don't have any staging environment there. It's a directly dev, direct to production. Okay, so that is also biggest challenge, because whatever the ongoing releases which are happen, they are not coming in the proper way. That is only through phone only. Someone is saying that we have to update this kind in the production. They will do that in the immediate only. Within hours only they will did that one, even any refunds or anything. So these process we are, I mean, what are the gaps which is there in the miscommunication, we identified those, and we are stopped those kind of activities while going the migration. Okay, so yeah, and one more thing is that their intention is that they have to be migrate Oracle source database directly into PostgreSQL without anything, with the validation. Okay, so that won't work. Why? Because the compatibility issues will come, and data load part is also will come. I mean, data load validation is not done, and optimization is not done to minimize the downtime. These things happen. So while auditing that one, we are recommended that one to, first of all, as Sashi said, they are using multiple nodes, right? So the Oracle PZ we are installing into multiple nodes and optimized that data load into 3 different parallel loads. So in that way, the data load is completed only, I think around 3 hours, right? Yeah. 3 hours it is completed by paralleling these activities. Okay. And yeah, I told you, right, they don't have the staging environment here. They are having only dev and production. Okay, so the biggest challenge is that Hari told, right, they are using different services. Are there 86 services are placed in across 5, I think 5 or not 5, each 5 services is residing in one app server. So in that way 86 services are there. So these 86 services, they didn't, in the integration testing, they didn't do any integration testing here. After migrating Oracle to PostgreSQL in in the dev environment, they don't have the staging environment, right? So here, after migration into PostgreSQL, they are validated these 86 services by pointing to the stubs only. That is not the proper way again. Okay, that is also one of the biggest challenge we faced that one. For that one, we are came up with the best solution, that is, whatever the servers which are they are allocated for the production, we are migrated the production data into PostgreSQL, and the dual write is there from the application. Okay, I mean, we are giving the solution that whenever request comes from the app server, it will write into both the servers, Oracle as well as the PostgreSQL. Okay, so in that way, the sequential wise in the optimized way, that means first 5 services they are enabled, and those 5 services is writing to both the databases. The same way another 5 services. In the phase by phase, we are incremented that 86 services in the phase by phase. That is around something 15 days. It is, in the phase by phase, there pointing these 5 services to the both the databases. In that way, it is writing the data into both the databases. They are validated, and at the same time, they are very aggressive that they are very confident on that we won't get any issues in the while doing the integration testing like this, because they are very confident on their subs testing. We already told that won't be work. Whenever you are performing that integration testing, definitely you will get more issues. In that way, they are expecting only we will finish it in 5 days only, that integration testing. It won't be take more time. So, they are getting more issues while they are performing the integration testing by pointing this production database. This both the services, right? They did the integration testing in the production itself only, not in the staging again. Because that is already whatever the data which is coming from that other services, it is going to Oracle production as well as that PostgreSQL production. But PostgreSQL production, we are treated as a staging environment here. So once all the services went well, after 15 days, again we are stopped that everything, and we are removed the production, the PostgreSQL production data, and we are removed everything. The fresh copy, they are downloaded from the, they are migrated from the Oracle to PostgreSQL here. So from there onwards, it is went well into the, live. So this is the biggest challenging we are facing here. Yeah, so I told you, right, it's a phase 1 pre-migration, and the phase 2, we did the dual, right? This is, we did as part of the integration testing, the phase 2, and the phase 3 is the post cutover, okay, and yeah, so migration strategies which are implemented there. Yeah, recently some issue happened. Can I talk about that one? Okay. I think only 2 days back only, the MeeSeva servers are going down because it is hitting the CPU 100%. Okay. The reason behind that, another,
New application.
service, that is something RT or something other service, they did the load testing on that production. Okay, the users are, up to that time, the users are only 9,000. Whenever this issue comes, the users are, it's a 6 lakhs. Okay, so they are stopped that one, again they are restarted. Now it is in the proper way. This has happened because of the proper process they are not followed. That is the main issue in the MeeSeva Upadhi team. Yep. Yeah, these are the challenges we are faced, and okay, this is also one of the important. The last but one point. Okay, so in one of the application, they have the date field. That is selection is there, and at the same time it is editable. In the application side, it's a glitch only. Okay, in the whenever it is pointing to the Oracle database, in the production database, few of the records are got failed in the at the time of do the data load into the PostgreSQL because of the date format. That is happened while entering into the application. They did some modifications, but Oracle accepted that format. But the format that is in the, okay, I think around 127 records are there. So that, the issue, when we did the root cause analysis, we found that it's an issue in the application. They fixed that issue in the application as well also. Yeah. think risk management.
So, when it comes to when it comes to risk management assurance and issue handling after migrating, there are a couple of steps we have to take care, and there is a hypercare situation that we have to take care, like 72 hours of hypercare and 24/7 that we have to observe, and what are the other any mismatches happen or any data mismatches there or not, we have to check. So that we did, and all critical services like RTO and other certificate licenses and all, everything will be working fine. Thus we observed, and we maintained a good health of the database after migrating. So that's what the success we got in this risk management, and the end-to-end accountability across full migration scale that we achieved with the help of MeeSeva people, and we combined. And this is the issue handling framework that we did is like, is there any root cause analysis there we have to take care, or all the planning we did before doing the migration, that's and we followed the steps. That's one thing that we had to do in the migration planning. And what is the other thing? The outcome matrix. This is a success we got. Like we did 85 plus critical services migrated, and 100% data validated within the downtime period, and also there is a less than 12 hours of total customer downtime window. And what does that mean? The critical service like RTO, that's what main thing for government revenue that we achieved, and the commissioner also happy for that specific requirement they requested, and we achieved that. That's the main thing. And the main success checklists are all the citizen services are restored successfully, and there is no data loss from Oracle to Postgres, and platform stability post migration consisted, and the CPU also less than 30%, and memory also very much doable, and all the metrics we showed to the end customer. And when there is a high volume comes, there is no degradation. That's what we achieved. And as I said, there is a 72 hours hypercare we did. That's one of the critical thing after Postgres. What is the current state? Right now, it is running perfectly with the Postgres database, and all the citizen services are running fine, and there is no complaint from any of the MeeSeva centers. That's the main thing that Commissioner is happy. All the MeeSeva services people, and we also supported them with all the documentation, and also with the what is the decommissioning of the Oracle once everything is up and running with the Postgres side, and the 2D services, 2D support service we did, and we also keep the monitoring setup. We set it up monitoring setup with and also some there is some PG badger and all these things that for any to observe any malfunction, any high number of transactions happen, if there anything happens to them, like Tirumala said about unnecessary load testing happened, so that we able to find out with the PG badger. That's our team Harisa suggested before. That's because of that tool we able to identify, and we told them on the root cause of it. That's the main thing. And sir, yeah, Hari will talk about it.
Going into the, I was actually talking to Jobin about it. This is something that we wanted to double click on, right? What is the architecture migration approach that we did, right? When Upadhi, they are the application owners who have been developing software for Telangana MeeSeva since almost 2 decades, I would say, right? So even before the state bifurcation happened, Upadhi was supposed
No, who are? No, you cannot do that. So even before the state bifurcation happened, Upadhi have developed MeeSeva 1.0, eSeva 1.0 in the reigns of Chandrababu Naidu. Right now, take a look at this. Some important pieces here. Right. So the dual write is the important piece that I wanted to double click on. Right. So what do you even say when we are talking about dual write? Right? If somebody says what is a dual write, say for example, Sudhir spoke about the IBM mainframes to Postgres migration, right? If we had this option of dual writes, right? What does it even sound to you, right? How does it sound to you as an architectural approach to have a dual write technology? So whatever the CRUD operations that are happening from the application are the CRUD operations that are happening by multiple citizen services that are happening. So you have got dual write. So how does it help in your own view, right? So if I pick Sudhir, right, what would be the approach, or what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of doing it if we have a dual write supported by the application?
So dual write in the sense we can able to mask and activate to.
We are able to write to both Oracle and Postgres at a single point of time.
So it can be the disaster kind of we can able to call. So we can have a high availability.
Okay, high availability is one. Jobin, you were saying about no CDC requirement per se, right? So that is what I wanted to double click on, right? Whenever we say that you have a dual write technology, right? The application supports writing to both Postgres and Oracle. And once the initial cutover of the database is up and running on both the platforms, Postgres and Oracle, you can just go ahead and do all your testing on Postgres. You can do a load test on Postgres. You could do the entire migration with zero downtime, right? I mean, that's not what exactly happened, but look at this, right? When you the very objective of why we did this talk here is to make sure or plant at the back of your minds what are all some of the approaches that are available in the market, right? It's not only the DBAs that can do the migration, right? No, applications also can help accelerate the migrations, right? Accelerate the migrations and at the same time get the risk factor down, right? With this dual write technology, right? Now the applications are writing to both your Oracle databases and Postgres database. So there is absolutely no data loss per se. No transaction is lost while we are doing any of the migration activities behind the scenes under the hood, right? So that's one very important factor that we will have to take into consideration. I mean, for us, when we do a database migration from Oracle to Postgres or a SQL Server to Postgres, right? It's go do the Ora2PG assessment test and then figure out how many lines of code are there, how many lines of code needs to be rewritten by a human, right? But nobody thinks about what are the options that we have, right, when an application supports dual write, right? So that's a very important point that we have uncovered as part of this migration, I would say. And a little on the cutover approach, right? Most of us think about day 2 support, right? Day 2 support, for people who do not know what is day 2 support. So we are looking at the entire implementation is done, the honeymoon period is done, right? You are back to your in-laws place, and the sasural is not that great, right? So that is day 2 support for you guys, right? No major stuff happening, right? Very, very boring life, right? Only when a lot of relatives come into your place, right? Shit hits the fan, and then you are super busy with the entire stuff, right? that is day 2 support, right? But before day 2 support, there is something called as, we introduced as part of this, because it is a government agency, and people get psyched about support not being available, person not being available, within their vicinity. We introduced something called as a hypercare, right? So hypercare was more of, we were on a 72-hour on-call support for the entire department and the citizen services, the IT points of contact who were with us. Right? That's another thing that we kind of introduced with this migration project, and then could help the success to it. Yeah, so this is the the more of the Oracle cost perspective that we wanted to put at the back of your minds, right? What is the exact savings we have made, right? How 3 Oracle systems. So when we look at 3 Oracle systems, right, what are we talking about? 3 Oracle instances, 3 Oracle licenses, 3 Oracle perpetual licenses, trying to loot the Telangana exchequer, right? So we converted all of them, and probably Shashi and Thiru would have covered. So these are some of the proposals that we have had, right? If you look at the proposal 1, right, we have got 3 separate Oracle clusters, and then we said we will also do a Postgres 3 separate clusters, right? Telangana was not that rich enough to give us this infrastructure of 3 separate clusters, but they had a lot of money to pay Oracle, right? God knows from where they got that money. But look at the second approach, right? So we eloquently made sure this option is not vetted out, or this option is not taken at all by the state data center, right? Because of various reasons, right? And then we went on to look at 3 clusters, 2 nodes each. Again, there was a problem of when we were doing the assessment, the Oracle assessment, they had a notion saying the 3 databases, the Oracle databases, were not talking to each other, right? Which means that it's a good opportunity for us to do an apples to apples migration strategy, all right? Payment system goes to a payments Postgres database, portal goes to a Postgres database, and the dashboard goes to it. And then after a point of time, the some of the bureaucrats woke up and say, I guess these databases talk to each other, right? What the heck were you doing when we were doing these assessments, right? So that's how we landed on this final approach, right? The final approach, right? So when we looked at 3 database Oracle instances which had high availability and all of that aspects, now we have consolidated that infrastructure also, right? So look at it from a there are tons and tons of things that come in, right? The carbon footprint, the data centers which were running these Oracle databases, right, were using electricity. We are using were part and parcel of the contributors to the carbon footprint, right? Now the amount of computing that we are doing, the amount of IT footprint that we brought down, right? So that's more of what we have done with this single instance, highly available cluster, running Patroni, running HCD, and then having a load balancer in place, right? A very, very, very simple cluster. Anybody can set it up in an hour or so, right? And then make sure they are all monitored, and then how easily we will be able to manage, right? So that's the crux of, I would say, how the the whole germination of 3 separate clusters that needed to talk to each other via FDWs, and then at the end of the day coming up with one cluster, right? So again, the point that I'm trying to make is not to mention how smart we 3 are, right? We know that we 3 are very smart, right? The point that I am trying to make is, when we are getting into migration discussions, right, whether we look at a prospect and say, hey, you are going to be migrating from one platform to Postgres, right? So there are quite a few options that we have in place, right? Quite a few options that help us to think out of our box and then make our lives easy, right? That's the point that we are trying to make. Right? Any questions that we can take? Me and Sashi, Thiru can take. Happy to.
Yeah. Actually, you said that the load testing on this, right? In the
Yeah.
moment which you take. How is the testing on this? Because it's a live data.
I mean, I could use some words that I am not allowed to use on the stage, but yeah, it is it is a government department and very, very how do I say, a shit store where you do not have any control over some of the infrastructure entities that are there, right? There is state data center, there is Department of Telecom and electronics that is involved, right? There is MeeSeva data center, and then there is MeeSeva IT team, which is trying to come up with new services that are required by the services, by the citizen, right? So you do not know what or when or how these new things come up, right? Now what we have done is, Thiru would have mentioned about this, we have a CAB in place, right? Change Application Board in place. Now that CAB is going to help us to safeguard our databases, because we are going to be the ones doing the day 2 support for MeeSeva databases. We have put those guardrails in place, right? None of you would touch the production database unless and until you give us 10 crores, right, which you were supposed to pay to Oracle, right? Simply put, right? Jokes apart, but the way we have put some of the guardrails is, one is the CAB in place, and then we are going to set up an exclusive UAT environment. That UAT environment will take care of all the JMeter testing, or God knows what other testing that these guys do, right? All of that testing would go in that specific environment. And then the last aspect is more of, for every change that goes into the database, right? There are multiple approvals. Nobody looks at those approval emails, right? They just click and say, yeah, approved. Now there is a process in place, and we just have to hope that people stick to that process and don't find any cheat codes to surpass that processes. That's all we can hope for. And then make sure MeeSeva services are up and running. Any other questions that I can take for me or Thiru?
One thing about load balancer you said.
Yeah.
It's a proxy SQL using.
We wanted to use a lot of new technologies that we wanted to use FI as one option, and then there are quite a few other load balancers that were available, but this is more of driven by the state data center, and then they were saying we wanted to have a keep alive D in place, right? Again, Jobin was saying that hey, this is not a 100% right option or the architecture approach, but yeah, once we have the complete control on some of the other migration aspects. Now we are also doing a SQL Server migration with MeeSeva, right? That gives us more and more power to go ahead and say, hey, no, this is not the way to go about. Yeah, there are better ways to do it. So yeah, work in progress, and yeah, उम्मीद पे दुनिया कायम है.